Good morning, Tsi'li'xw, Lummi Nation, Siam and Astrologer Siam, Lummi Nation, Siam and Astrologer Siam. Qua Achensusan, it's a snap huyan lesson, it's a Tsi'li'xw, it's a he's. It's a charge, it's a chai, it's a swakwell, it's a stelnoch, it's a wellmoch. Qua Achensusan, it's a snap. Huyan lesson, it's a na oxala, it's a he's. Hawk, it's a chalangan, it's a wellmoch. It's a snap, it's a Tsi'li'xw. My English Christian name is Bill James, William James of the Lummi Nation, located near Bellingham, Washington. Today we're going to talk a little bit about making of the swakwat, the importance of the blankets that we weave and why we do it. And today there's a recent upsurge of people that are wanting to learn how to make the blankets. They were used for many reasons. Number one was to keep warm, and the wool blankets were, some of them were about almost an inch thick, and they'd like weigh 10 pounds or more, sometimes like that. But the ladies would make the yarn like I was just doing on the spindle whorl, and then they would weave them on the upright looms. But the traditional materials were the mountain goat's wool, and the mountain goat's name is called Tsi'li'xw. The cattail fluff called Tsi'li'xw. The fireweed fluff and the cedar bark was all woven together. The pounded shredded cedar bark was spun into the wool to keep the moths from eating up the wool. But it was pounded and it was so soft that it didn't bother you. Occasionally there was a little nettle fiber in there once in a while too, but not very often. One of the other main materials was from the little woolly dog. The little woolly dog, his name was Kaha. He was bred specifically for his wool, and it was indigenous to our people here. They lived out on Orcas Island out there by East Sound over there, and they had a little island out there that they just bred the little dogs. They were kept separately. There was a purebred dog, and it was indigenous to our people here. All of these materials that are spun into the wool. The traditional blankets were made very large. Some of them were very thick. They were almost an inch thick years ago. They were really designed for warmth, to sleep under, because around here it used to be very, very cold, extremely cold years ago. They're not mountain goat wool today. They're sheep's wool today. Not just everybody had them, They were kind of like a status thing. And occasionally we had what was called a giveaway, potlatch type, as you would probably know, a giveaway gathering. And they would take these blankets and they would get up on the roof and they would throw these blankets out into the audience. And the ladies would go and they would grab a hold of the blankets and they would just hang on to them. And they would ravel it and take it apart, and they would make their own blankets from what they got from their giveaway. Then eventually the Some people call them the Bostons, come in on the boats. They were called the Bostons, and the non-Indians came into our area. And they brought with them the Hudson's Bay blankets, okay? And years ago there were the ones with the stripes, but there were also the red blankets with the black stripes, okay? And they would take those red blankets and they would strip them, make a strip out of them, and they would weave the red strips into the blankets. That's where they first come from, where the red stripes came in to our area. But other than that, it was done like this. It was done with twining, you know, with twining like this. You know, it was all twined in. But there are two different, this is what you call a twill. This is called the herringbone twill, and this under here is called twining. This is all twined, and it's a different stitch entirely. As we teach our young people today, it's important that they learn these things to give them self-identity as to who we are as a people. That's most important. Once they find who they are, they'll succeed better in both worlds. People don't realize we live in two worlds. In my community here, nobody ever calls me Bill James. My name is Tsi'li'xw. A lot of our young people carry their traditional native names of their ancestors. You know, and this gives us identity as to who we are. Like I say, in the beginning, the pattern was basic twill, like this, a 2 over 2 under the herringbone twill here. That was the basic method of weaving the blankets, you know. And then occasionally they had the border like this. You see, now see, this is herringbone twill, but this is twined here. Basically, this blanket consists of two different methods of weaving. The herringbone twill, you can see the pattern goes this way. It's actually just 2 over 2 under, 2 over 2 under, 2 over 2 under, and then you move over 1 each time. Okay, now twining, I make just a little black section at one time. I make the white section next. I make a black section next. But it's 2-strand, in other words. This is just 1 strand. This is 2-strand weaving. And it's twined together. And then you make this one, this one, this one, and you make this one, this one, this one, all separately. Each one is done separately. My late mother, it's been 4 years now since she passed, and she's the one that spun all this yarn. Every bit of this yarn she spun, and I've been kind of hanging on to this piece. I didn't really want to, you know, didn't really want to sell it or anything, you know. I wanted to kind of keep it, you know. Today blankets are used basically in the same method. I mean, they're built for warmth, of course, but we use them for what we call siam. The respected people will wear those. These gifts are given quite regularly now because a few people are making them now, you know. I've taught classes on how to weave for quite a few years now, and there's quite a few people picking it up. Things are changing really quick now, you know, and they're going creative now, you know, going creative. And, you know, everything changes, you know, everything changes.